Did you know that according to a survey conducted by the Pew Research Center, 30% of US adults say they have used a dating site or app? That's almost 1 in every 3 people. Now that's a lot of swiping left and right, isn't it? Ever pondered why you're not meeting your Mr. or Miss Right despite all that swiping? Is it possible that our brains could be pulling a fast on us? Now hold your horses. You might be thinking, what? My brain hoodwinking me? You're pulling my leg. But nope, I'm not kidding. It's not only plausible, it's incredibly common. Today, we're on a fun journey to uncover the hidden role of psychological biases in the wild world of dating. Think of these biases as invisible little elves, mischievously leading our thoughts and decisions on paths we didn't even know existed. They're like the secret conductors of our mental orchestra, discreetly setting the tune of our choices and perceptions. Now, I hear you asking, what on earth do these sneaky elves have to do with my shenanigans? Well, my friend, a whole lot. These biases can play a big part in how we view potential partners, interpret their actions, and even see ourselves in the dating game. Ever found yourself obsessing over a single trait or event about your date, while completely glossing over the rest? That's a tricky elf in action, specifically known as the focusing effect. Or did you ever defend your choice of partner, ignoring their glaring imperfections just because you chose them? That's another sneaky elf called the choice supportive bias. The truth is, we're all prone to these mischievous biases. They're not inherently naughty or nice, but simply part of the way our brains function. However, knowing about them can help us steer our dating lives more effectively. So, are you game to embark on this exciting adventure into the world of psychological biases in dating, and perhaps discover the hidden recipe for more successful relationships? Cracking the code of these biases could be your golden ticket to Loveland. Let's jump right in. First up, the focusing effect. Ever found yourself hyper-focused on one aspect of a potential partner, neglecting other important factors? This is called the focusing effect, a psychological bias where we place too much importance on one single detail, often to our detriment. Imagine you meet someone who shares your love for 80s rock. That shared interest might seem so exciting that you overlook their constant negativity or lack of ambition. From there, we transition into choice supportive bias. This is when we justify the choices we've made, even if they're flawed. So, you've decided to date the 80s rock fan despite their shortcomings. Over time, you'll likely start to convince yourself that their negativity isn't that bad, or that ambition is overrated anyway. So, we tend to focus too much on one thing, and then we justify our choices. Interesting, isn't it? Next, we have the sexual overperception and underperception bias. Ever misread signals in the dating scene? Well, you're not alone. These biases revolve around our perception of sexual interest from others. Overperception bias is when we tend to overestimate someone's sexual interest in us. For example, interpreting a friendly smile as flirtation. On the flip side, underperception bias is when we underestimate someone's sexual interest. A classic example is when we assume a person's flirtatious behavior is just their friendly nature. Now, let's shift gears to confirmation bias. This is our tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. Picture this. You believe your date is not interested in you. So, you interpret their every action, even the neutral ones, as signs of disinterest. And there you have it. We may misinterpret signals and then seek information that supports our beliefs. We're quite the complex creatures, aren't we? Lastly, we have stereotyping and hindsight bias. Ever made assumptions about someone based on their looks? Or felt like you knew an outcome all along? Let's delve deeper. Stereotyping is when we assign qualities to individuals based on their group, like assuming someone's personality from their appearance. Picture this. You're on a date, and you've already concluded they're a party animal just because they're wearing a leather jacket. That's stereotyping. On the other hand, hindsight bias is the tendency to believe, after an event has occurred, that we predicted or expected the outcome. Let's say you go on a date, it doesn't work out, and you think, I knew this wouldn't work. That's hindsight bias. These biases can hamper our dating prospects. Stereotyping can lead us to overlook potential partners because we've pigeonholed them based on superficial traits. Hindsight bias, meanwhile, can make us overly critical of our past decisions, preventing us from learning and moving forward. Stereotyping can limit our experiences, and hindsight can make us overly critical of our past decisions. So, remember to keep an open mind and give people and ourselves a fair chance. So, we've explored 6 psychological biases that could be affecting your dating life. Let's take a moment to wrap up and reflect on these intriguing aspects of our psyche. We started off with the focusing effect, the tendency to overemphasize the importance of one characteristic at the expense of others. When dating, this could mean getting hung up on one aspect of a person, good or bad, and neglecting the whole picture. It's essential to remember that everyone is a blend of strengths and weaknesses, and true attraction lies in understanding and accepting the combination of both. We also discussed choice supportive bias, the tendency to remember our decisions as better than they were. In dating, this might make us idealize past relationships, making it harder to move on or appreciate potential new partners. Strive to see past relationships for what they were, not as rose-tinted memories. Then, there's sexual overperception and underperception bias, our tendency to misinterpret signals. This can lead to misunderstandings and missed opportunities. It's important to communicate clearly and honestly to avoid falling into this trap. We covered confirmation bias, our tendency to seek information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. When dating, this might lead us to ignore red flags or signs of compatibility. It's crucial to approach each new person with an open mind and a willingness to challenge our assumptions. Stereotyping, too, can be a significant obstacle in dating. It's our tendency to categorize people based on preconceived notions, often leading to unfair judgments. Remember, everyone is unique and deserves to be seen for who they truly are. Finally, we pondered on hindsight bias, the tendency to believe we knew how things would turn out after the fact. This can lead to regret and self-blame in dating. Remember, it's easy to see what we should have done in hindsight, but we make the best decisions we can with the information we have at the time. Remember, awareness is the first step towards change. Happy dating!